Right, Alice Springs just hit 42 degrees while Melbourne is sitting at 19. That is a 23-degree difference across the country right now, and things are about to get even more interesting over the next 72 hours. Is your area about to cop the worst of this incoming system, or are you one of the lucky ones? Because the Bureau of Meteorology got severe weather warnings current for 3 states, affecting over 12 million people, and the models are showing some pretty significant disagreement about where this is all heading. Here is what you need to know. I'll give you exact timing for the major cities in the next 30 seconds. Then we'll dive into what is happening state by state. But chuck your location in the comments right now, because tomorrow I'll be doing personalised forecasts based on what you lot are asking for. Sydney, rain arrives late Friday around 11 p.m, heaviest overnight, clearing Saturday arvo. Melbourne, you are looking at showers Thursday evening, persisting through Friday morning. Brisbane, storms building Friday afternoon around 4 could be severe. Perth, staying dry until Sunday, then a cold front moves through. Adelaide, Friday morning rain, clearing by midday. Hobart, scattered showers Thursday, clearing Friday. Darwin, typical afternoon storms, nothing out of the ordinary. Canberra, rain Friday overnight into Saturday morning. Now let's break down what is actually driving all this, because there is a low pressure trough developing off the New South Wales coast. And depending on which model you believe, this thing either intensifies into a proper East Coast low or it just fizzles out. Access is showing it tracking south, hitting the Illawarra and South Coast hard. The European model reckons it stays further offshore. That difference of maybe 100 kilometres changes everything for Wollongong, Nowra and even parts of Sydney as eastern suburbs. Let me show you what is happening right now across the eastern states. Currently, we've got a high pressure system sitting over the Tasman Sea, and that has been keeping things pretty settled for New South Wales and Queensland. But there's a cold front approaching from the west, and when that interacts with the moisture we re-pulling up from the Coral Sea, that is when things get interesting. For you lot in southeast Queensland, temperatures today are sitting around 28 to 32 degrees. Brisbane at 30 degrees, Gold Coast 29, Sunshine Coast 31. But here is the thing that humidity is climbing. We're re-looking at dew points in the low 20s, which means it's going to feel more like 35 to 37 degrees this afternoon. Tomorrow, temperatures stay similar, but those storms I mentioned earlier could drop things by 5 to 8 degrees very quickly. Townsville and Cairns, you are in typical wet season mode, 31 and 32 degrees respectively. Afternoon storms rolling in like clockwork around 3 to 4 p.m. Cairns could see 50 to 80 millimetres in the next 24 hours. Townsville probably 30 to 50 mils. This is pretty standard for late January up there, so nothing too unusual. Now, one thing that has got me concerned, and I'll come back to this at the 8-minute mark, is what is setting up for next week. There is a signal in both Access and the GFS model for a significant heat event across the interior, potentially pushing into South Australia and Victoria. But we'll get to that. Victoria where things get a bit messy over the next few days. Melbourne, you are currently at 19 degrees, but tomorrow you'll hit 27 before that change comes through around 6 p.m. Geelong, similar story. Ballarat a bit cooler at 24. The western suburbs, Melton, Sunbury could touch 30 tomorrow before the change. Here, where the models differ again. Access is bringing that change through earlier around 4 p.m. Friday. ECMWF says more like 8 p.m. Friday. That 4-hour difference matters, because if you've got outdoor plans Friday arvo, you could be looking at either 28 degrees and sunny or 17 degrees with showers and a stiff southwesterly. We'll have a better idea tomorrow morning after the latest runs come through. Bendigo and Shepparton in northern Victoria, you are looking at 32 and 33 tomorrow, staying warm Friday. Then that change hits you Friday night. Could see some decent rainfall too, maybe 20 to 30 millimetres. But hang on, let me clarify that when I say decent rainfall. For this time of year, that's actually pretty significant for northern Victoria. You've been running below average for the past 6 weeks, so this would be welcome. South Australia, Adelaide sitting at 27 right now, and you will stay in the high 20s tomorrow. Mount Gambier down south, you're re-cooler at 22 degrees. That rain system I mentioned for Friday morning, we're re-looking at 10 to 20 millimetres for Adelaide Metro, possibly 30 to 40 for the Adelaide Hills. Whyalla and Port Augusta staying drier, maybe 5 to 10 mils at most. The one detail that got me watching closely is the fire danger situation. Currently, we've got a total fire ban for parts of South Australia tomorrow due to the northerly winds ahead of that change. Temperatures in the mid-30s, humidity dropping to 25 to 30%, and winds gusting to 60 kilometres per hour from the north. That's a pretty dangerous combination. Once that change comes through Friday, conditions improve significantly, but tomorrow is definitely a day to be aware if you are in country SA. Western Australia, Perth, you are having an absolute cracker of a week. 33 today, 34 tomorrow, 32 Friday. No rain in sight until that system approaches Sunday. Bunbury similar, maybe a degree cooler. Geraldton up north, you're sitting at 36 and you'll stay in the mid-30s through the weekend. Actually, I should be more specific about that Perth forecast when I say no rain until Sunday. The Sunday system is still pretty uncertain. Could be just 5 to 10 millimetres, could be 20 to 30 if it develops more than expected. The models are still sorting that out. Broome and the northwest, you are in monsoon territory, 34 degrees with afternoon storms. You could see some heavy falls, maybe 60 to 100 millimetres over the next few days. This is the big wet doing its thing. Now, if you haven't already, chuck your city or town in the comments. I am reading every single one, and I'll make sure tomorrow's forecast covers the spots you are asking about. Already seeing requests for places like Dubbo, Wagga, Toowoomba. I'll get to all of those tomorrow. Tasmania, Hobart, S at 17 degrees today, 20 tomorrow, then back to 18 Friday with those showers. Launceston sitting at 22 today, 24 tomorrow. Devonport on the north coast, 21 today, 23 tomorrow. The west coast, Queenstown, Strahan, you'll see more persistent rain, maybe 30 to 50 millimetres over the next couple of days. That is pretty typical when you get these northwest systems. Northern Territory, Darwin, you are at 33 degrees with 85% humidity. Yeah, look, I know this isn't ideal, but it's the wet. You are going to see storms every afternoon for the foreseeable future. Catherine, similar story. Alice Springs in the centre, absolutely cooking at 42 degrees today, 41 tomorrow. The difference is Alice is bone dry, 20% humidity, while Darwin feels like you are wearing a wet blanket. Canberra, the nation S capital, you are at 26 today, 28 tomorrow. Then that rain system Friday night drops you back to 20 Saturday. Nothing too extreme there. Let me loop back to what I mentioned earlier about next week. Both Access and GFS are showing a heat trough developing over central Australia, and there's a possibility this pushes a significant air mass southeast. We could be looking at temperatures in the high 30s, possibly low 40s for parts of South Australia, Victoria, and even southern New South Wales. This is still days away, so there is uncertainty, but it's something to be aware of. The European model is less aggressive with this scenario, keeping the worst of the heat further inland. This difference is pretty significant because if Access is right, places like Mildura, Swan Hill, Wagga could be hitting 42 to 44 degrees by Tuesday or Wednesday next week. If ECMWF is right, you are looking at more like 38 to 40. Tomorrow's model runs should narrow this down. For the New South Wales coast, Newcastle S at 28 today, 29 tomorrow. Coffs Harbour sitting at 29, staying steady through the week. Wollongong at 26, but here S where that East Coast low uncertainty comes in. If Access is right and that low develops close to the coast, Wollongong could cop 100 to 150 millimetres Friday night into Saturday. If it stays offshore, like ECMWF suggests, maybe 20 to 40 mils. That is a huge difference. The South Coast Bega, Eden, Merimbula, Uri and the potential firing line too. Could go either way at this stage. Check back tomorrow because the morning Access run will give us much better clarity on the low S track. Queensland S inland centres, Toowoomba at 29 today, 31 tomorrow. Roma in the west, 37 degrees. Longreach further west, 39. Mount Isa, 36 with typical dry season conditions. There's one location that could cop something unexpected, and that S, the Gold Coast and northern New South Wales border. If those storms Friday afternoon line up just right with the sea breeze convergence, you could see some very heavy rainfall in a short period. We're talking potential for 80 to 120 millimetres in an hour or two. Not saying it will definitely happen, but the setup's there. Byron Bay, Tweed Heads, keep an eye on the radar. Friday Arvo, bit of a rough trot for the Riverina at the moment. Wagga, Griffith, you're looking at 35 and 36 tomorrow, then mid to high 30s Friday. That late Friday rain might not reach you until Saturday, so you are stuck with the heat for a while longer. For the island territories, Norfolk Island, you are getting brushed by that system Friday, maybe 20 to 30 millimetres. Christmas Island in the Indian Ocean, typical tropical conditions, 31 degrees with afternoon showers. The weekend outlook, and this is where things get interesting, shows that cold front pushing right across the southeast. Saturday, Melbourne drops to 21, Adelaide 23, Sydney 24. Sunday, you stay cool. But that heat I mentioned building for next week, that starts pushing back in from Monday. Right, let me check that again because I want to be accurate about the timing. The latest access run from this morning has that heat building Monday, peaking Tuesday, Wednesday. But these extended forecasts can shift. So don't lock in any specific plans just yet. Perth this weekend looking beautiful, by the way. Saturday 31, Sunday 28 with that possible rain. Then back to 32 Monday. Can I complain about that? Brisbane, your weekend S a bit up and down. Saturday 29 with a few showers clearing. Sunday 31 and mostly sunny. Gold Coast, similar pattern. Sunshine Coast, maybe a degree warmer. Hobart, you've got a pretty settled weekend coming up. Saturday 20 degrees and partly cloudy. Sunday 21 and similar. Launceston 23, Saturday 24, Sunday. If there's one thing to remember from this forecast, it is that Friday is the active day for the eastern states. That's when everything comes together, the rain, the storms, the change for Victoria. Have your plans sorted by Thursday night. The models are still showing some disagreement about intensity, but they're all agreeing on timing now, which is good. We've gone from a 12-hour spread yesterday to about a 4-hour spread today in terms of when that change hits Melbourne. That S, the model's converging, which gives me more confidence. One more time, if you haven't dropped your location in the comments, do it now. I am seeing heaps of capital city requests, but I want to hear from regional Australia too. Whether you are in Kalgoorlie, Bourke, Mount Isa or Burnie, let me know and I'll cover your area tomorrow. According to the latest runs, there is still a bit of uncertainty around that East Coast low development. This is genuinely a watch and wait situation. The ingredients are there, the moisture, the instability, the trigger, but whether they all come together at the right time and place, that is what we're monitoring hour by hour. Yeah, look, I know forecasts can be frustrating when there is uncertainty, but that is the honest situation right now. I'd rather tell you there is a range of possibilities than give you a confident forecast that turns out wrong. Fire danger S worth mentioning again for tomorrow. South Australia, parts of Victoria and Western New South Wales are all looking at very high to severe fire danger ratings. If you're in these areas and you've got property to prepare, tomorrow's the day to do it before the winds pick up. Friday, when that change comes through, danger drops significantly. The heat health aspect for inland areas, Broken Hill, Bourke, Wilcannia 40 plus degrees tomorrow and Friday. That's dangerous heat. Stay hydrated, check on elderly neighbours, keep your pets inside during the hottest part of the day. This is peak summer and the Australian sun, S no joke. Beach conditions along the east coast are going to deteriorate Friday. Currently, we've got pretty good surf conditions, light winds, clean waves. Friday, winds pick up, seas get choppy, and with those storms around, it's probably not the best day for a swim. Saturday should improve again once that system clears. The Fremantle Dr. S doing its thing in Perth, that beautiful afternoon sea breeze, keeping things comfortable despite the 30-plus temperatures. That is one of the best things about Perth summers. No matter how hot it gets, that sea breeze rolls in like clockwork. Reckon we're re-looking at a pretty typical late January pattern. Overall hot in the interior, humid in the tropics, changeable in the south. Nothing too out of the ordinary, except maybe that potential heat event next week, which I'll be watching closely. Let me recap quickly. Friday, S, your active day for New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia. Rain, storms, temperature drops. Saturday, things settle but stay cool in the southeast. Sunday, similar. Next week, potential heat building again. That East Coast low is the big question mark. Check back tomorrow for updates because that situation S evolving. Remember, these forecasts have uncertainty built in, especially beyond 48 hours. The Friday system S pretty locked in now, but that next week heat event could still shift in timing or intensity. That S, why I keep saying check back tomorrow. We'll have better information as we get closer. Tomorrow S video, I'll be diving into next week S potential heat in more detail. Plus I'll cover all the locations UV requested in the comments. I'll also have an update on that East Coast low track once the morning models come through. Really appreciate you watching and seriously drop your location below. The more specific you are, the better I can tailor tomorrow S forecast. Whether you are in a capital city or a tiny town in the middle of nowhere, I want to help you plan your week. Tomorrow S forecast drops at 6 a.m. Eastern, so you'll have it before you start your day. Until then, stay safe, stay cool if you're in the heat, and I'll